Talon with their lineup. They're probably going to look to be aggressive. And team with the first Roshan kill. Yeah, neither side really has the best Rosh. I'd say Talon, though, out of that. There you go.
Okay, thank you for that, John. Game 5, nothing to hold back now for either side. Let's hope it's an absolute slugfest between these two. Everything on the line here. You don't want to have to be forced to go to last chance qualifiers. Right? If you can get your spot to TI11 right now, you'd rather get it right now. You're one game away from both teams. Sure, you have the safety net of last chance qualifiers, but nobody wants to go there, John. Nobody wants to go there. There's too many good teams there.
Yeah, you see that team list. It's way too stacked. We were having a conversation earlier. It feels like you could just run that as a mini major almost, right? Like you could actually run that as a set of teams with a prize pool already, and it's already a legit tournament because those teams are all great. So, yeah, you'd rather not go through that process for both sides, and well, that means everything comes out here, Mike. You mentioned wanting some cheese picks. I'd say this is the cheesiest draft we've had all night here.
It certainly is. The Visage and the Marcy. We love seeing this with this kind of draft. Always fun. Force, get a double decay off, but that'll be it. He won't try to fight over the bounty. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, so a very even start this time around for game number 5. And of course, as usual, we are going to start off with the mid lane. You are going to have Lelouch on that mid Queen of Pain against the mid Pango of Makoto. Makoto performing very well on the mid Pango. Of course, Lelouch, we know how powerful he can be on this Queen of Pain mid as well. Bit of a newer hero for him here in game number 5. How does this hero matchup go?
It feels pretty good for Lelouch. He has a really nice range advantage. First few levels for the Pango just doesn't feel great, so you're just going to have to sit back and soak. Mikado's doing a good job of ensuring the wave does shove in, and he drags it all the way to the tower for some safe CS. He can poke and prod a little bit with a swash, but it does feel like overall Lelouch should have a good time. And rune control is going to be massive for both sides. Once Lelouch has a value point in Blink, if he even wants one, he's going to have a much better time in getting that done. And you have really good support rotation set up here from Polaris as well. So I think Mikado might have a little bit of a tougher time until that level 6 is up. And he's just going to have to find some openings where he can, pull back the wave as much as he can, and get that CS going.
Let's have a look at the bot lane as well, because this is the one where I think we're probably going to see first blood being drawn. You've got KP and Q on the Marcy Visage. In fact, hold that thought, because there was a hook out from Natsumi, but no level 2 yet, so no follow-up. But between Q and KP, against AU and Natsumi, like that Visage Marcy lane can be quite dominant. It's very reminiscent of like a Viper Marcy, except instead of going slowly with DPS with poison attack, you have Soul Assumption, which does 300 burst damage at level 1, quite a ridiculous amount of damage. So if Q can hit that level 2 mark and just catch them off guard, you can really start to blow people up. But it also goes the other way. As you can see, Natsumi, he's going to move in with the hook. The Nightmare's set up, but he won't go too far. The Soul Assumption just, again, way too much burst from KP.
It's a lot of back and forth, and this is probably the lane with the most play. Lots of ways to trade. Q already having to pop the salve. Natsumi is not quite finding as much CS as he wants, although he is still up there 8-1, but KP's not too far behind. I think outside of just Soul Assumption, you also have this play you can get with the Grave Chill plus Sidekick. Like the added attack speed on the Visage, even without the Familiars, it's good trading for KP once he has a value point up there. So that's a little bit of the back and forth that Polaris will have to watch out for. And Natsumi, of course, he would want some laning kills, Mike. Flush heap stacks, very important for the Pudge while he's farming up for that Ags.
Absolutely. How about that top lane? Savage, Hyde, going to be against Force and Xavier's. Seems like a decent lane for the Undying. Even against the Dazzle with that poison attack, or rather the poison touch. You've got so many decays to be taken by Force, and if you do eventually try to make the jump in on the Undying, he's just going to drop Tombstone every time. It doesn't help that you've got Chakra Magic to keep resetting the decay either. He's already got 16 strength, and it's only going to go up as time goes on.
Yeah, again, we saw Savage have to deal with this in the last game, but he's not as protected on the Doom. You know, he can't just pounce away if an Illuminate's on its way over. And they're going to have to try to keep finding a good creep for him to eat up. No mana burn creep in the small camp, unfortunately. It is the bunch of Vul assassins. So Savage still going to be under pressure, and Force just feeling happy. The Doom will still farm, and Devour is still a spell that gives you free gold, so you're not going to be cut off from that progression, but the side of Polaris are making it tough.
It feels like this combo of Undying Coddle is probably going to be something that you do. In fact, hold that thought, because bot lane, there's going to be another hook set up here, set up by AU. KP, he's taking a lot of damage from that Rot Natsumi, might have first blood and does. First blood the way of the Pudge. You couldn't have asked for a better start for Polaris.
And that's what you want to see. You want to build up the flesh heap stacks here for Natsumi. And once he gets more and more, it's an easy game to get hooks. You've got the Nightmare set up. Easy pull back, easy damage out, and you can just run down. Talon have to be a bit careful bleeding out in the bot lane. They've got aggression of their own. But it does feel like KP needs more levels up. It's only level 1 Soul Assumption, only level 1 Grave Chill. Neither option for the right click or the spell trading is feeling that great for the Visage yet.
Yeah. Going back to my point, John, about the Coddle Undying, I feel like this is one of those duos that, unless you see major nerfs to Undying before in the patch before TI11, like this Chakra Magic Decay spam in the laning phase, it feels so busted. It feels incredibly busted.
It is. It's a lot of damage out. It's really easy to just catch that pause one at a bad spot and melt him down. And Savage, he's wanting to look to punish, but he doesn't have anything like the Infernal Blade. Can't really go for it. You are getting so much farm out for Force. Now, mind you, again, Savage not lagging too far behind in the CS. And overall, in terms of at least creeps coming out, it is looking pretty good for Talon, although not too far behind for Polaris either. Savage, I mean, he's 116 HP.
Got
He
Tombstone.
can't really hold here.
Yeah, Hyde, gonna heal him up. Very forward play from Savage. He did have 20 stick charges, so that's why he felt so confident to move up like that. Maybe trying to bait the Tombstone to be used, but Force does not fall for it. Meanwhile, bottom lane, here we go again. The Nightmare into the Rot. Q does have rebound, and the hook never connects. Trying to connect the hook mid-rebound is the way to stop the Marcy from bouncing out like that. But it's obviously much easier said than done.
It's pretty tough to do that. And hard to kind of predict where the Mars will want to go. Natsumi, though, as long as he's not being harassed out of lane, he's getting the farm. Vanguard not too far away. AU, nice steal onto the bounty while Q's trying to sneak up. They are still making moves down here, though. Mikado does have a regen, but don't manage to cut off the Bane. And they don't fully commit to jump mid. Lelouch is still really mobile on the co-op, even with just the level 1 blink. And that is the one shortcoming for Talon. Their lockdown isn't amazing. So Lelouch has a lot of play in this game. That does mean that you're likely not going to see any commitments towards that mid lane this time around.
Certainly not. Makoto, though, still very, very happy with the way this mid lane's gone, that's for sure. His bot lane, here we go again. Natsumi, this time he'll be the target. KP won't be able to get the damage off. Natsumi's still a very tanky kind of pos 1 here on the Pudge. Not going to be that easy to threaten in terms of his life. Survive and keep working on towards the Vanguard. As top lane, Savage was being chased down on the Doom, but just pops the Scorched Earth and then runs. The Force not able to keep up here, not willing to drop the Tombstone either. Savage will just salve up and right back to the top lane he goes. Very close affair between these two teams once again, as now the Flesh Golem and Tombstone, they want to try. Savage, no, the Illuminate!
Ooh.
Oh, it doesn't connect! He was a hair off! Oh, how close can you get? Hyde. He's going to try to run. Hyde looks like to be fine as bot lane Q. Oh, he's going to rebound back the way of AU. They find the Bane. Makoto's rotated. Disaster for Polaris Esports. Absolute disaster.
And they miss out on some key kills. Savage now can kind of just go jungling. I mean, you're at that point with the Doom. You got the level 3 Devour up. You can just kind of play it safe. No need to really show up too much. Savage is going to hit 6 if he wants. With that Doom, they could try to make some plays. But again, gap closing here, a little bit tough. And they do shove him completely away from top. I mean, this combination of Force and Zavis is just unsustainable for the Doom to play against. So you are already putting a dent on Savage, but he's just going to take mid for himself. Mikado doesn't really mind. He's the one to go jungle. He's the one who wants to be active anyway with a role. So you kind of get a swap out there. Lots of heroes checking up top, though.
They do slow him up. They've got the Soulbind. AU's even going to show up. Illuminate again going to be juked out by Savage. Nightmare will be there though, letting Force get closer. Now the Tombstone, but the Doom, it's going to be committed. In comes Q. He'll try to help out. In fact, the Undying, he's the one dropping too low. He will go down. AU, he gets a deny off. Savage, he does go down at the end. AU saving the day, salvaging the situation. They'll lose Hyde. They'll lose Q and Polaris. They get a 3-for-1. In fact, I say they got one, but they really got nothing. It was a deny anyway.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, they find everything in Polaris. I'm surprised Talon, they didn't drag in Mikado for that fight. He just opts to keep farming. Maybe didn't expect all that movement out. Polaris getting a lot of value from their forward wards here. I mean, that vision, the information they got that the Doom was just jungling, they just instantly pile on. And it just feels like for Talon's end, if you do slow down on Savage too much, it feels like a really tough game. And they're trying to clump up bot, but Natsumi has the ward protection here as well. They can't even find punishment onto him, and they've got this great ward behind the tier 1. Polaris, they know Savage is just standing around here.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Savage, gotta be very cautious. Polaris is the target they want. Savage, AU, he's having a look around. The pings are out, they know. Savage, he'll get spotted. AU, where's the Nightmare? He'll pop it eventually, but Makoto, quick rotations on the Pango, not gonna allow this opening. AU, he'll try to run. Lelouch now, he's the one caught in the mid-quap. Oh, they find both of them.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's an awkward one. They feel confident with a vision in the backline, but a good TP spot coming out there from Mikado. In the response, Talon does find it. This aggressive ward still looking good. Both sides do manage to find tier 1s up top and a down bot here for both sides. Talon needs to take out this vision game. Like, this control coming out, man, they can just stalk Savage. And right now, Xavier's just walking to his direction again.
Savage. Force. Tombstone's there. Savage this time does not help the help around him. And he can't find a way out either. TPs eventually do come out, but Q, the best he can do here, I think, is try to work with Makoto as they try and trade against Force, but he is such a tanky Undying. Can they really do it? Look at the refresh. Look at the decay being spammed out. Q's dropping to the Tombstone. He might be another kill to go the way of Polaris as the zombies are just chasing him down. He'll survive for now, but can they kill Force off? The Undying, he's too much. He's too tanky. They've got to retreat. Hyde's now the one in danger. He'll shallow grave TP away and might just make it. And does. Barely, I might add. Just barely. But
It's
this
those
chakra
wards.
magic Undying and the wards, like you mentioned, it's painful.
Yeah, they just know. Every time Savage dips into that jungle, he's just not safe. And Talon, they need to take away that vision. Polaris, they're playing so well. They find that solo kill on KP down bot. Natsumi finds the angle. His Ag's timing is going to be really on point in this game. Savage, he just gets the Midas gold now. So at the least you've got that farm acceleration, but it's been such a slow Doom game. He is barely above KP net worth, who is bottom net worth 4. 2k lead up for Polaris. They do eventually get the sentry down. They do free up the jungle, but it took 2 deaths out from Savage for that move to come out. Like, they've gotten their value here on Polaris.
It's a rough start for Talon. 2k behind now. Savage, very low in net worth on this Doom. Scan out as well. Polaris, they see the scan. Or rather, they see the smoke with the scan. Double damage was still picked up by Makoto, but the smoke may just amount to nothing. No one around from Polaris Esports to catch up. If you really want, you've got to head over to that Radiant Triangle, but without the mid-tier 1 tower droppings yet for Polaris, you can't really make your way over. There's no good pathing to that area. And so Talon, it's the retreat once again. At least you got a double damage room for Makoto. He can save that for the next team fight.
They've got to find that next team fight in their favor in Talon's end. I mean, you've got the Doom, you're 2k behind. That's not good news. The Doom is a hero that should just naturally farm better than everyone else, but Force is currently #1 in net worth from all the activity he's been getting up. You talked about how much Talon's been stopping Force. It's not coming out this game. Like, he is just abusing this chakra decay. It's just ridiculous what you can get done with that and how tanky you are. It's too much. And it's just building up. Again, the Ags for Natsumi slowly but surely coming out here. You're getting into the BKB for Lelouch. And once you have that protection, it just doesn't feel like you have any answers on Talon at all outside of the Doom, which Savage, he's still just going to farm. He's not going to look for those Doom opportunities until the BKB blink is up, and that's going to take some time in this game.
Natsumi, bottom lane. Hook. Oh, that's right on target. Hyde. What a hook from Natsumi. He's completely blind as well. He had no vision. Still, Hyde does get away. Impressive hook, but no kill to come with it.
Just a little poke away. That does at least tell Talon where Polaris is kind of clumping up down bot, giving them some space to recover here on Savage, and even just allowing KP as well to work onto that rate pack timing on the Visage. It's still lining up. KP just scouting around with the familiars as well, getting some vision out to and figure out where Polaris are playing right now. It's more passive game. Does feel like it's pretty suitable for Polaris. I mean, you know, you're getting the build-up you want in Natsumi. They might still be able to find Mikado if he's not careful. AU?
Nightmare. It does connect. Hides around. Hook this time off the mark. Natsumi not quite on target. Hyde actually not even flinching. Just keeps walking forward. Places a ward and acts like it never happened. It's Talon, they will get away with Makoto intact. He is the Giga Hyde, Johnny. He doesn't flinch when Hook flies out. He's fine.
Of course.
AU.
Oh.
Chase down, Rolling Thunder. Diffusal Blade is there from Makoto, but a nice Nightmare. AU gonna hold Makoto. In comes Lelouch. What a Nightmare dodge, but still, the Sonic Wave's not gonna be there in time. AU barely survives. Just barely.
Yeah, they back off. They try to make a move on to force up top with the TPs, but it's just a little bit too far forward. Savage doesn't have anything like the blink, so Force is just free to walk away. These back and forth fights with no kills, it is starting to feel a little bit better for Talon, because yeah, they expend the roll, but you also force out the Fiend's Grip, you force the rotation out from Lelouch, you're still finding farm on Savage and KP. So these two cores are just gonna hit some key items that they desperately need. And they'll just be, you know, kind of swimming in it once the BKBs come in and once that raid pack is up. So Talon starting to find a stall out. Polaris, I think once we see them hit this Ags on Natsumi, they need to start playing. They've got the early BKB on Force as well. This Undying, it's definitely going to live up to its name in the middle of these team fights with that BKB. Like, there's just no solution yet from Talon.
BKB and Chakra Magic, so more strength to be stolen. I mean, at this point, he may as well just go Ags, right? Like, you may as well build Ags, get the 8 strength still on the Decay, because you could just have double Decays constantly with Chakra Magic. It'd be so much value here for the Undying this game, but obviously being responsible first has to go BKB. I'm just saying, after that, you think about the Ags. I'm sure Force is.
Yeah, it's a good game for it. He's softening up Doom, softening up Pangolier before the roll, kind of taking away the threat of Marcy pre-BKB. Does a lot. So, certainly not something that's completely memey for Force after the fact. We'll see if that's something he'll want. And the lead for Polaris, it is starting to slip away a bit. And we are finally seeing Savage pull up, BKB up now on the Doom. So that's one item that will allow them a little bit more play. But you really want the Blink on top of that. Blink and Refresh with a Shivas, which again will take time.
We'll find Hyde. Makoto is there to help though. And Hyde again. The Giga Chat of Talon. You'll just run casually right through. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Hyde, you just keep casually pacing. This is pos 5 Dazzle. Always has the backup of his team. Polaris, they're the ones that are still just trying to buy time for the Ags. Natsumi's got it. You mentioned it's time to fight once the Ags is up. We'll see when Natsumi wants to get started. For now, he's just trying to escalate and farm.
Yeah, he is building up. He did skip like a durability item. It does look like they are going to start Roshan though, off the back of Force. And they're going to make some good progress here with the Tombstone drop as well. Not the quickest Rosh in the world. No, neither one of these teams really fast Rosh takers, but Talon don't seem aware. And Rosh, given enough time, you will still find it.
Thank you to Force, by the way, for building that Ags that I talked about, John. Not making it look like a complete moron here in this Game 5 of the Grand Finals. Force looking out for the boys. Love you, Force. In goes Polaris. Aegis will go the way of the punch. That's a big target. Talon. It seems like they're just more than happy. Just Savage is farming. He's climbing up that net worth lead. He's got Midas. He's got BKB. We've seen how powerful Pos 1 Doom can be from Natsumi himself in this best of 5 grand final. So just give Savage the space and time. And of course, we talk about it in the draft, but let the Visage have its time as well. Because eventually, you're going to win one team fight, you're going to sidekick one of these familiars, and things are going to look rather silly. Buildings are going to start falling apart. It's not going to be fun for Polaris if they end up losing said team fight.
No, it certainly isn't. Still, Polaris, they've got a nice smoke here. They still have this ward giving them vision on the bot jungle. They know where Talon's farming.
Oh, nice hawk, Natsumi. On target. Had the vision this time. Fiend's Grip there just in case. They are not willing to let this kill go. Natsumi, he'll try for the familiars as well. Hard for them to get away with this rot slow. It'll be a plus 200 for Polaris. Now 1k advantage going back the way of the Radiant.
And the vision game has been such a big difference maker for Polaris. Like the forward ward in the triangle a while ago, this defensive ward just cutting off where Talon wants to farm. They understand what Talon needs to do. They understand where Talon wants to play, and they keep vision in those areas. And Talon, their own wards aren't really doing much. They've got this ramp ward on the rune spot. They've got this ward in their own top jungle, which is fairly inside their jungle, not really seeing down the ramp, not seeing around the area all too well. And it just allows Polaris to really dictate these engagements every time. Still, the blink's up on Savage. So you do have Blink Doom with War Stomp as well, with the BKB. And that BKB will force a choice out from AU. Although you could still kind of use Natsumi to kind of chomp through the BKB with a Dismember anyway, so it's not something you mind all too much. Talon, the question for them is, how long will you want to wait? And who and what are you willing to sacrifice? Because it certainly feels like you can't afford to lose KP as well. Visage does need some farm to really get ridiculous here. And the map is still really safe for Polaris. They're going for another smoke.
Savage in the mid lane, prepped for a defense, but he could be out of position very soon if he's not careful. Talon, they are behind him. KP will show those familiars. Natsumi, he's been very good with these hooks. You've got to be so cautious with this man. He's played a lot of Pos 1 Pudge. He knows what he's doing. Tier 1 mid. Not going to be defended. Talon, they don't want to risk it right now. Especially against the Aegis of Natsumi. With the Ags, it's just too painful if he gets close enough. Even with some BKBs up, it's just, they don't last long enough. It just feels like Polaris can just sustain forever until those BKBs are up, and then you just run at them.
I mean, they really do have the answers to almost everything. I think the big one for Talon now is going to be this Lincoln's timing on Mikado. Once he's protected on the roll, and that does open up the team fights more, it just completely nullifies the grip that AU will want to bring out here. And you just have a way of ripping through the backline, which Mikado needs to achieve for his team. But that Lincoln's is also going to take some farm. So it really is just a patience game out from Talon. For Polaris, their scaling is good. You do have to worry because, well, frankly, Natsumi doesn't have the most flesh heap, so his tankiness isn't that amazing. And the BKB is going to help a lot in that sense, but the physical output of KP, or heck, the physical output of Q once he has his own BKB, is something to be concerned about. Talon will actually go for a smoke now in their end.
Yeah, they know where Natsumi is. The problem is you want to avoid Natsumi and find the backside. You want to find the other heroes on his team. Because the Pudge is that one position 1 right now that can literally go out of position anywhere he wants, and you still don't want to jump him. It's way too dangerous. Smoke is there, but it seems like Talon, they're heading towards the other side of the map. So maybe not wanting to force a fight, they just want to keep their farm going. They trust in their strategy, they trust in their draft. We've seen this throughout this whole best of 5, which every game has been one-sided, and one team fight can do that. So you don't want to be that team to give that team fight away to the other. Problem is, Polaris, they are still fighting more objectives. Lelouch, top tier 2 tower is going to drop, just casually taking it as the mid-quap. Will eventually back off just in case, but does force a rotation out from Q on that Marcy. And we're at that stage once again where Aegis is going to expire, and it's going to be all about trying to secure that next Roshan. Smoke though, Talon. Can they find something to do here? Can they find a fight? It doesn't seem like it. Probably for the best anyway, because now there's a BKB up on Natsumi.
Yeah, you're going to need to choose your Doom targets here. for Savage with all the protection coming out. The triple BKBs ready on Polaris, and they'll smoke off the back of that. Talon?
High
in the
ground,
greatest
but hide.
position.
He's been spotted. Stones are there on the Familiars, and the Dazzle, or rather Doom is there. Lelouch, he cops it. BKBs were there in time. Savage in the middle of nowhere. Where's the Doom? Who's he got? Oh, he doomed a zombie!
What?
Oh, he's doomed a zombie! I thought he doomed the Quap. Then I see the BKB and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
no,
goodness.
not like this.
That is... Yeah, that's not good. Talon, that's a pretty big loss. Polaris, they're gonna find a tier 2 off the back of that. They're gonna be able to get everything they need. Yeah, that's you just
tough.
try to rinse that off. Yeah, it's really tough for Talon. Polaris, though, not gonna be feeling bad about that. Gonna be very chuffed with themselves. They find a double damage rune here as well. So, the objective should just melt. Top tier 2 faults, Outpost next. They've got the forward wards here on Polaris' end. And Talon, and they've got to hope for the best next time around. They've got a minute 20 to wait for that next Doom. And the 2K lead comes back here for Polaris. Savage, and the full Shivas is coming out here. But, yeah, what can you do?
What can you do? That's the saying, Jonathan. That's the saying I always like to come up with. What can you do? Force, he can buy an Aghanim Scepter to make things even more dominant. That's what he can do. Ag's up now. 8 strength still on the decay. This is where things get even more scary, because you got to worry about the Pudge, you got to worry about the Undying. Xavier's going to be spamming Chakra Magic, so it's double decay over and over again. Savage, he gets spotted out, but he'll run right towards the Dire Triangle once again. Lelouch, he's just going to show himself in the mid lane. Pops a DD, tries to chip away at the tier 2 mid tower, but there's no creep wave, so the backdoor protection is there. And Polaris, they are one step closer to pulling off this Game 5 victory. They are certainly in the lead in this game, not just by net worth, but just with the way these drafts work. It feels like Polaris, or rather Talon, needs so much more. Here we go,
They need
Savage.
a lot.
Sorry, John, go on. He does blink up.
They need a lot more. I mean, the Lincoln's timing for Mikado, that still feels like the key to allow them to take some fights. Just blocking off that Fiend's Grip means that your Pango will at least have a lot of play. Blink up now on Natsumi, though, so you can just instantly blink up and dismember with the BKB. Once you pop the Lincolns on the Pango, you actually do have additional control now on the Pudge. So you actually don't care anymore about this Lincoln's build-up on Mikado, as long as your blink's on point and your BKB use is on point. So we'll see. Fast Roche respawn here as well for the side of Polaris to find, and they've got the control here. They can just dip right into it.
Oh, Gaben's been too kind to Polaris this series, haven't they, John? Here we go.
Absolutely.
Second Roshan. Talon, you'd love to fight. They do find Xavier's. That's something. They've got the Coddle down. That's going to put an end to the Roshan. They don't want to fight without that Keeper of the Line. So now mid tier 1 tower opens up, and Talon, they do move in with the Familiars and the Sidekick. Certainly help the cause. It seems like Talon, I mean, they've got to be careful with the way they go, because they're moving right into the high ground where Polaris is standing, but it's a 4v5. Maybe this is the fight. Savage, dismember out immediately. Force, where's the Tombstone? He hasn't dropped it yet. The Doom is going to be on target this time around. They've got the Pudge. This might be the team fight. Talon, they're trying. They find AU on the backside. Sonic Wave, Lelouch, he'll try to salvage the situation. Meanwhile, Hyde, he does go down, but they found Natsumi. That's the target they wanted. Talon, they've got the team fight. Oh, Polaris. They forced an ugly fight for themselves. They thought maybe with the high ground advantage, they had enough, but it wasn't quite there. And now Roshan, it goes back the way of the Dire.
I mean, this Roche doesn't take that long. With the Morrissey and the Sidekick and the Familiars, this is where you're going to see that shine. Roche melting to that output. And Polaris now, they're finding themselves on the back foot. 9-7, still having a kill board on their side, but the lead slowly dipping back towards Talon's way. Aegis going the way of Mikado, and a free shard coming out for Savage, so even more coming out from that Infernal Blade. Mikado, he's got that Lincoln's up, he's going for the Basher next, he's going to have some way of stopping these channels through with a BKB. And for Polaris, this is where you might start to ask yourself, did they miss out on their timing? They still have scaling left for the Pudge. There's still a lot of presence left for this lineup. But you do have to respect that Talon still has... they've got scaling as well. I mean, Mikado is on the Pango. They've got disruptive teamfight elements. Whereas for Polaris, their teamfight, their most disruptive element in the teamfight, outside of the single target spells, is the Tombstone. And it did disrupt that last fight really nicely. Now, they had to kind of focus on it with Hyde. He did pay for that with his life. But they still managed to make it work. And, this time around, it makes a big difference, Mike, when you do manage to land that Doom.
It certainly does. It's very important not to doom the zombies and try to doom a hero. That's always a very, very important factor.
Oh, you know what? If you had... this might be funny. If you had the Ags on Doom, the AoE Doom following you around instead of on yourself, I don't know if there's really utility in that, but there's something there.
You can't miss if you just cast it on yourself, right? Right? That's 4-head or 5-head thinking, Jonathan. Well done. Savage has queued up the Axe. He's got the same idea. Can't miss if I just cast it on myself. That's the way to do it.
Talon, they managed to find some good objectives now. Bot tier 2 faults, so they equalize map control. Pretty much mirror map control from both sides. Mid tier 2 stands. Bot and top tier 1 still stands for the opposing lanes as well. Aegis, as you've got 3 minutes left on Mikado, he's starting to get really aggressive with his blinks forward. There is some nice split push coming out, which you can achieve with a Keeper for Light, of course. Save is just shoving in top, doing some good chip damage out, but Talon going for a smoke.
What can they find? Nobody in that Radiant Triangle, nobody in the Dire Jungle. It's literally only Xavier's pushing out the top lane, not allowing a creep wave to get anywhere near the Radiant base. Sees a TP from Savage. That does get cancelled as well. Talon now. 5k ahead, looking very, very strong with Savage. 21k net worth. Polaris, they're the ones that need to find a way back into this game. In they go. Talon, they understand their lead. They do not want to back off. Makoto, he's got the Aegis. Now a refresher orb up on Savage. 2 Dooms up. You definitely want the team fight now. Polaris, they're the ones that have got to find a way to force a fight and win that fight. Or just keep avoiding. But the more you avoid, the bigger Savage gets. We've seen this from Natsumi. He's a hook. Oh. Natsumi. Lincoln's broken. They find the Pango. Makoto, he is gone the first time, but the Doom, it was there by Savage. He'll rush in. He'll refresh. Who's the next target? Savage. He gets Fiend's Grip. AU's got him. The Doom, the Shallow Grave. It buys time. AU ends up going down. Savage will survive with the Sonic Wave. They chase. Lelouch still trying. Lincoln's broken. No mana. It won't matter, though. They lock him down. They have got the Quap. Force. Trying to run. They are in big trouble now. Polaris, hook up on the Undying will save the day as Natsumi goes back in, but Talon have got this team fight. There is no saving this one.
They managed to make it work. It was a very awkward fight out from Talon. I mean, not expecting the Lincoln break on Mikado, gets held down. Savage, with a refresh, with all the items he has to use, he just doesn't have the mana pool. So he's actually investing into stats now. Level 2 up, 2 points in the stats. Barely enough to get his 2 uses of Doom. I think the big issue is he's not able to really use the Shivas on top of that yet, so needs the Ags just for the stats. I think the value is going to be there. 9-9, 10k lead for Talon. I mean, it looks like a big lead, but you look at that farm distribution, it's only really Savage ahead. Natsumi, Lelouch, and Force are close behind. So I'd say this game is a lot more even. You can't count Polaris out. They can still play around and take away that durability on Mikado if he's not careful. Now, Mikado does have the Basher, and he is going for a BKB. Once that's up, pinning down the Pango is going to be a lot tougher. But that is more time to wait for. And Polaris, well, they've got their own build-up to kind of seek out here as well. In fact, they're going for a smoke.
They're going to try. I suppose the fights need to be on their terms. They saw 1 Doom used. That's 1 less Doom you have to worry about. That's 1 positive. No refresher orb available on Savage. Lelouch, he'll show himself. Maybe just trying to bait for his team. Talon, not taking that bait. Very patiently waiting the tree line, hoping Polaris move more forward. Makoto now baiting. Polaris not taking that bait either. They know exactly what each other are doing. Someone's gonna move in first. Who's got less patience? Neither side. It's like a stalemate between these two. It's like, nope, not me. I ain't going first. You're coming.
Yeah. Play it safe, and there's so much on the line in this game 5, right? We talked about the stakes here, Mike, and no one is going to take any unnecessary risks. So you play it safe, you go back, you farm up, you build up, and you just keep trucking along. Now, there is one thing I'd like to see in this game, Mikey. Maybe down the line, our Giga Chad Hyde could go for the Ags and refresh the refresh. I believe it does refresh, right? It does not have the clause where refresh is excluded. So refresh to refresh, I mean, it's not enough mana on Savage, to be fair, but, you know, the possibilities are hilarious.
They certainly are. Double damage rune found out once again, Talon. They seem to be finding a lot of these this game.
Amazing what you'll find laying on.
See who takes that one. Seems to be Makoto usually taking the double damages here for the team. Considering you don't really need it on the Doom. Nope, they're going to give it over to Q on the Marcy. So the Marcy with BKB Basher, I suppose he can just jump in and pop that Unleash and go to work. So the double damage now on Q. He's a core now for the team. 11k advantage for Talon. Dota Plus saying 19% chance Polaris can make a comeback, 81% chance Talon pull off this game victory. So they're not out of it yet, but Polaris, they are in dire straits. They need to find something. They need to find a way. There's the axe.
Yeah, it gets scary. I mean, Savage shouldn't be missing any more Dooms. So the zombies are not going to have that. Why does that happen? How can your clique prioritize the zombie over here? That's just kind of strange. Still smoke out from Talon. They want to reveal this.
In defense of Gaben, it's not his job to let Savage doom the hero, right? It's Savage's job to click the right target. In we go, Savage. Smoke forward. Force is ready to break the smoke. They're under vision, though. Talon, realizing this, will back off immediately. They don't want to fight within someone else's vision.
Ooh.
Hide. Force staff away. No hook. They'll get their own vision down now. In that radiant triangle. This game reminds me of, like, you're getting into a street fight, but nobody wants to chuck the first punch. You know? It's like, no, you throw the first punch. You throw the first punch. And neither side wants to do it.
Yeah, just two fellas, you know, sizing up each other but never getting physical. That's it.
I mean,
and
they're staunching.
honestly, it feels like a few of the games in the series have just been like that, right? Like, it's been very patient for both sides.
You mean every game of this series has been like that, John?
I was waiting for the breaking point for you, Mike. I'm glad to see it came out.
Eventually it will. Oh, goodness me. It really is, though. Like, they're popping their chests out, you know? Flexing their muscles. Here we go. Roshan started. Natsumi hook is there, but Roshan's down. Doom is out. Savage, he will rush forward. Leilusha, big sonic wave, however. It lasts on 4. Is it going to matter? Nobody dead yet. Everyone survives. So the sonic wave does buy time for Polaris to back out after seeing the Roshan was down. Talon still 17k net worth ahead. All 3 cores on their side are well and truly far beyond what Polaris have right now.
Yeah, they've managed to pull out, and I think that's a big difference from a few minutes back where, you know, it's mainly just Savage. Everyone else was equally farmed. You do have at least 2k lead on KP and Mikado each now. You still have one more Doom to go on Savage. Did not manage to pop that refresh, so it still has additional usage on hand. And Polaris should be ready now for that AoE Doom. They know it's up there. They show their respect for it. They did pop a BKB on Natsumi, so probably just gonna play safe then. Force as well. I mean, he has the Ags up now on the Undying. But the issue is, if you do get doomed, you can't really steal the strength, so that kind of falls flat there as well. Still 9-9. After you point out they're just sizing, they go again. I mean, they stand up in front of each other, but no one dies. So it's just a bunch of posture in here, Mike.
There is the Timeless Relics available here, I believe, for Talon. If they wanted to give that to Savage, that feels kind of nice. You know, 20% debuff duration seems good. Yes.
I'm curious though. I feel like that doesn't affect your self-doom duration, right? Because that's not technically a debuff on you. Because it's probably a buff on yourself. And so it will only affect... I think that's the way it's programmed. I'm actually not sure. If it's a debuff, then it would doom yourself, right? So it must be a buff. Because it's a positive on yourself. So I think if you want to get the longer duration Doom, you actually have to Doom an enemy to count it as a debuff. Because when it applies onto itself, the duration doesn't change because it's a buff on yourself. Or
This is the
debuff
one
duration
hero-
means it has to be used defensive.
This is the hold that thought. Makoto's now trying to move in. Illusions, that's all he's caught. Makoto, he'll pop Rolling Thunder. Maybe Polaris can try to force a fight. My point was, John, that Doom's the one hero. Like, he's literally the devil, right? Like, if there was a masochist in the game, this is the guy, right? Like, if there's one hero that can debuff himself, you'd think it'd be Doom.
Yeah, but when you self-doom, you don't really doom yourself. You know, you apply an... I think it works like it applies an aura on you that applies doom in an AoE. So it technically isn't...
I'm pretty sure you're right, John. I'm just messing around with you. I'm just messing around.
It would be funny, though.
It would be.
No, you know what we still need at? It's Doom in time.
It's Doom time.
He's got to do it. Why don't we have it? Alva, please.
Why do we have it? I don't know. I don't know. It's a
We
missed
need it.
opportunity, John. Maybe for the Doom Arcana eventually that comes out.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's you charge in, you've got the guitar and the taunt, and you doom yourself. It's Doom in time, and you come in with a taunt. There you go.
Tier 3
That's the
tower,
Giga
John.
Chat play.
Tier 3 tower. On they go.
Ah,
You've got the familiars to
Familiars.
abuse here. This is the best part of this draft. Sidekick, familiars, throw them in, let them do the job. Alright, we've done enough damage. Off we go again. 9 to 9, 40 minutes in.
I can't believe we're actually only at 18 kills.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
that
starting to
is
feel
that
like-
is just surreal to me.
I'm starting to understand how the League of Legends casters feel, John. I'll tell you that.
It's well, at least you know objectives are falling. They take Roshan and they kind of poke. Well, no one dies, but they take a tower. As they say, they take a turret. If you would want to
Oh,
really
don't
go
say
all
that.
in
Yuck.
on this one, Mikey.
Yuck, don't say that. I was joking.
Ugh,
Don't-
that felt
oh,
wrong.
I literally got
That
a
felt
shiver
wrong.
as you said that. Moving on. That joke never happened. Top lane. The familiars. Here we go again. These are the real MVPs for Talon. You
Oh,
may not
dude.
like it, but this is what peak Dota looks like. Yes, John?
Yeah, you've got the Silence of the Grave, so when you pop out of the Invis, you got bonus damage, Fortify Forced Out. Just from the side of the Familiars alone, Mikado, he's only got half a minute on that Aegis. This is really risky from him.
Absolutely. And there you go. Tier 3 tower's gone. Makoto, he'll keep going. Tombstone drop force, he's gonna force something. I mean, you've got to fight eventually. Makoto! That'll be the Aegis. It's something. Let's see if they can find him a second time and they cannot land the hook. Familiar's still chipping away at that top racks. Rolling Thunder, Makoto, he's literally just gonna zone them out. That's it. Zone them out, let the birds do the job.
Is under attack.
And they do.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
Oh, how do you stop this? Like, you can't even kill the siege creeps with Illuminate. It just falls.
Under attack.
The only shame thing is that Marcy sidekicks herself. Like, imagine you could just sidekick in an AoE on 2 heroes or 2 units. Then both familiars could get the sidekick. Now that would be peak Dota.
Oh, Mikey, you're getting me excited. Maybe that should be a shard instead. That'd be amazing. That'd be very balanced, Mike. I like the way you're thinking.
9 to 9, 42
don't-
minutes in, 23k net worth. Hex is up. At least Lelouch's got the Hex up. I mean, there's some farm going the way of Polaris. Talon are in complete control. Absolute complete control in this game 5.
They are. They've got enough gold here for Mikado to just buy out the Overwhelming Blink if you wanted to, or are close to it. So another big item timing out for the Pangolier. For Polaris, this, again, it just feels like the point where we might be hitting a dead end in itemization. The Ags here from Xavius might catch Talon off guard, though. So they do have some more AoE hold from Polaris' end.
Oh,
They've got to find
Natsumi!
an angle.
He got bashed up, but he has the BKB. In he goes, onto Savage, but the Self-Doom is there. Into the Shivers. The Pudge trying to run. Where are you going? Sonic Wave. He's going nowhere but down. The Pudge is out. He has buyback. He can try to commit, but there's 3 heroes down for Polaris. Both supports without buyback. It is getting very close to a call here, I think. Because Polaris, they have not found an answer to this draft. Makoto, he's in. He fills it. Onto Force. We'll back off. No need to risk it. There's your buyback. This will be the last-ditch effort, Talon. Are they going to stick around? It's still a 5v3 situation. They're so close to being able to qualify to TI11. Onto the mid-racks they go. Lelouch desperately trying to chip away, but the Familiars, they are the MVPs of this game. They are doing all the work. KP is doing nothing. He's just microing Familiars.
Oh. They back off. They show some respect. 32k lead. 9-12 scoreline with a 32k lead. I have not seen this in all our years, Mikey. It's another one of those strange firsts to see a team just completely choke out the game and just not kill and just take complete control. Polaris, they have got to show the effects of this Will-O-Wisp. It has to fly out in these team fights. They've got to get control. They cannot afford to lose Natsumi early on. He's one of their only two ways of controlling through the BKB. They need that dismember. They need the grip from AU as well. Their positioning is going to have to really work out in the next few fights. Talon, and they don't have protection of Aegis. They're watching Roche Mikoto, keeping an eye. 20 seconds for the respawn. That should be our signal for the next piece of action here.
99% chance win probability for Talon right now. They've given 1% chance for Polaris. On the Radiant Triangle, Talon will hold, waiting for their next refresh on the Doom, I believe, for Savage. Not that he really needs it. Roshan,
Roche.
it's up.
Free axe, free refresh up. I mean, yeah, at this point, just give High the axe, I guess, or Mikado if you really wish. And, you know, just run it down. This should be the opening. This should take care of that range. Racks and the last set of racks down. But, secondary life onto Mikado. Everything else left. No, they give High the refresh to just carry you around. No, pass on to Savage, okay. Mikado gets the axe. Alright, so Giga High doesn't quite get it. But, again, another Ags, another Aegis, another opportunity to push. They are trying their best here to stall this out from Polaris. Lelouch just split pushing. But they'll still have an angle from the mid creeps to go through the back door. So, let's see what Talon opts for here. Still on the hunt. Oh. You know what I realized, Mike?
What is it, John?
I saw chat. Right, so someone was like F10K at 9 to 9.
the betting scene, yeah, they must be really having a fun time this game.
F10K, 40 minutes. Who would have thought?
Oh goodness me! Go on bot lane.
Have to take care of the creep waves. I mean, they've de-pushed here in Polaris very nicely. So they are stalling this game out very well. Talon, they have two cheeses. I didn't even notice this. Hyde's got a cheese. Q's got a cheese. They could combine that together, make a nice fondue.
Absolutely.
Start looking to the high ground. Mikado's just playing poke. I mean, for Polaris, again, this hinges on just a great initiation out. They've got to find a way, use the Will-O-Wisp when BKBs fade. That's their turning point for Polaris.
Alright, here we go. 42k advantage. Let's see if they can hold this. It's their last chance here, Polaris. They've got some buybacks. It's a rough affair. D-Ward is there. Talon, they're going to start moving in. Here come the familiars. Makoto gonna move in. Does get a bash, but the hook is out from Natsumi. KP almost losing familiars. He'll end up getting them healthy as now the jump is in. Doom is out. They've got Lelouch on the Queen of Pain. He has buyback though. He'll buy back immediately onto Force. They've got the Undying muted up. Force trying to back off. He has buyback. He'll buy back immediately. In we go again. The Will-O-Wisp is holding them down. But where's the follow-up? Where's the damage? Who's jumping in? Makoto. He'll be pulled back by Natsumi, but he has the roll-up. He'll be alright. Talon still sitting back. Moving back in. Savage. Self-Doom once again. Looking for some diebacks, but finds nothing. They'll try and deal with the Tombstone, but they cannot. Talon. They might have to retreat. But in we go again. The familiars, Makoto, he'll get to work on the tier 3 tower. They want Megas. They want the happy death. Onto the Undying. Sonic Wave is out. Makoto, he'll drop low, but he still has that secondary life. He should be alright. They've got the melee barracks. They're onto the range. It's Mega Creeps incoming. Refresh on Savage. He's got another Doom. In we go. Makoto tries. There's the Doom out. Savage moves in. Aeon Disc will be proc, so the Hex does nothing. Polaris, they are holding on.
Man, it's Mega Creeps up, but they have the wave clearing. They've got great AoE with Natsume. They're going in.
He's going to jump in, but the Hex is immediate. The Pudge is caught out. There's no buyback on Natsume. He'll go for Dismember Savage. He's just going to go for the man fight. Have Talon done it? They've taken down the Pos 1 Pudge. They're onto the Quap. That'll be a dieback. I think Talon are making their way to Singapore here, John, as they've got everything they can ask for in this Game 5. GG is called. Congratulations to Talon Esports. So after 5 long, grueling games, they have made it all the way to the TI11 in Singapore. And look at those happy faces. They've done it.
Oh,
Hugs out,
my.
smiles, cheering. Oh,